I asked him for information about how many of the coup leaders we had trained, including in Niger and Ghana and Mali and the Ivory Coast, and he didn't even produce his report on time. So pardon me for a lack of confidence in General Langley. What I'm telling the two of you is that you have a responsibility for these soldiers in Niger. And General, you would agree with me with the premise that we should never sacrifice the well-being of our service members to avoid political embarrassment, right?
There was some tension between U.S. Congressman Matt Gaetz and Army Secretary Wormuth. During this argument and tension at the House Armed Services Committee, some secrets were exposed which has shocked the world. This secret is concerning U.S. Army or U.S. military in Africa, especially Niger. I want us to watch this particular video. I will be back.
General, do you know what is going on in Niger right now?
I know there's some challenges over there in Niger right now, and I don't think that we are actually in charge of that mission that's on the ground.
Well, yeah, we just heard the Secretary say you've got soldiers there, so we're gonna dive into that to some extent. Do you know what the status is of diplomatic overflights to our installations in Niger?
Yeah, I'm vaguely tracking that that's a challenge over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not a challenge, it's binary. Are we allowed right now to do diplomatic overflights in Niger? Yes or no?
I don't know exactly. I'm not tracking
Madam
it
Secretary,
that close.
do you know if we're allowed to do those diplomatic overflights?
I don't, but I'm sure the AFRICOM commander does.
Yeah, but you guys just said it's in the budget you're asking for to do these train and equip missions. One of them is in Niger. In Niger right now, the government has stopped us from doing diplomatic overflight missions. So we have Army soldiers right now in Niger who aren't getting their troop rotations, who aren't getting their medicine, who aren't getting their supplies, who aren't getting their mail, and the two senior people in the United States Army are sitting before me, and it's like, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Are you going to do anything for the soldiers that are in Niger right now who can't get medicine? Yes or no?
Congressman, certainly. We can talk to General Langley and make sure that...
Oh, I've talked to General Langley. He comes in here and never has really good answers. I mean, I asked him for information about how many of the coup leaders we had trained, including in Niger and Ghana and Mali and the Ivory Coast, and he didn't even produce his report on time. So pardon me for a lack of confidence in General Langley. What I'm telling the two of you is that you have a responsibility for these soldiers in Niger. And General, you would agree with me with the premise that we should never sacrifice the well-being of our service members to avoid political embarrassment, right?
Congressman, I will tell you, I'm not tracking that somebody in Niger is not getting their medicine or their mail, but I will follow up.
You don't even know the status
after
of
this.
diplomatic overflights. How about the great power competition? You would agree on train and equip missions. We would never want Russian soldiers at the U.S. installation where we're doing train and equip, right? That's not even a tough question. You would agree?
Yes.
And so if there were Russian soldiers behind the wire at Airbase 101 in Niger, where we have soldiers doing the train and equip mission, that would concern you, wouldn't it? Right. Well, I'm here to tell you we've received reports that they run out of medicine in May, that they cannot get their troop rotations. And you know why you don't know that? Because it's a cover-up. Because the U.S. Embassy in Niger is covering it up because of Secretary Blinken's embarrassment. Because Blinken went there in March of 2023 and said this was the centerpiece of our Africa strategy. This was the model of resilience. And then, lo and behold, the very coup leader we trained takes over the country. And then we struggle with whether or not to call it a coup. We've now called it a coup. Since we've called it a coup, now they won't let us get folks in and out. And so I'm looking at what could erupt as another Benghazi, where there is no mission to do. There is no train and equip right now with the coup leaders. So we got a bunch of people sitting around without their supplies, without their medicine, and the whole reason intelligence isn't getting to us is because the embassy is blocking it because Blinken is humiliated that this failed. And I've used my 5 minutes on everything in the Army right now because I have constituents who are there in Niger and they're wondering how to get water. Did you know they can't even get clean water? Did you know that the partner nations that we have at that base with our soldiers, the partner nations, the Italians and the Germans, they've stopped cooperating with us. They won't even help us get provisions to our troops because of the status of forces agreement that we have with the government being deemed invalid. I am just a country lawyer from North Florida, but this strikes me as something the two of you should know about. I get the blank stares, but Secretary Wormuth, can I take as your commitment that you are going to leave here and you're going to see to the well-being of these folks in Niger and that they can get the rotations and the medicine they need?
Certainly, I will make sure they're getting the medicine and the water that they need. Yes, Congressman.
Great. Mr. Chairman, I have a number of unanimous consent requests. First, an article from Politico. It's like a bad movie. U.S. officials who helped train Nigeri troops reel from coup.
Without objection, so ordered.
Russian troops arrive in Niger as military agreement begins, and from the BBC.
Without objection, so ordered.
Uranium, Niger termination of U.S. military ties followed accusation of uranium deal, March 17th, 2024, from the Wall Street Journal.
So you heard him right. You are not confused. You can go back, rewatch the video, and listen to what exactly Matt Gaetz was saying. And in all this conversation, my interest is how he openly accepted US has trained, not even is training, has trained coup leaders in Africa. And they are still training. US has trained and still training coup leaders in Africa. Since last year, we have been stretching on this particular topic that since last year, we have been stretching on this particular topic that our leaders are puppets. And they are puppets because these Western countries normally threaten them with coup. Because if they are not training coup leaders to threaten our democratically elected leaders, how on earth would they be controlled by the Western countries? So most of our leaders are scared because they know what it's at stake. So most of them come to power and they realized that they are not in control. They are being threatened secretly that if you decide to do this, to benefit your own citizens, you are going to be eliminated by your own people. Normally, when we started trumpeting this information, some people called us conspiracy theories. We are just throwing false news around. We are just throwing false information around. And you heard it from the Congressman Matt Gaetz himself that US, he was asking, they have been training coup leaders. We told you last year that coup that happens in Africa, we have two different types of coup. Coup that benefits the Western countries and coup that benefits the citizens of the countries. So most of the times where coup happens, don't immediately jubilate. When coup happens, you have to know where that coup is coming from. Because majority of our coups are not for us. Most of the coups that happens sometimes have been orchestrated by the Western countries because maybe the leader in power is refusing to give something up, refusing to give free mineral resources, refusing to compromise his principles. That is where they will start tagging you as a dictator, as that, and if you don't, at the time you realize you have been taken out of power. And when you take out of power, the citizens will think that this coup that has happened are for them, or they are coming for their rescue. By the time you realize it is rather orchestrated by the Western countries, and they are going to place this guy there to just make sure he do their bidding for them. One thing that I felt disappointed about the whole this also discussion is Ghana government denied the fact that US has military based in Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian and I'm very disappointed. Ghana government has denied that US don't have any military base in Ghana. So when the congressman was talking, you also heard him saying that the countries he mentioned, they are training coup leaders: Ghana, Ivory Coast, Niger, and I think other country. He mentioned Ghana. So if US don't have military base in Ghana, where are they training the coup leaders? I wish I will have someone who is who have deep insights of this particular issue, for him to leave his comment for me to understand why exactly would US train coup leaders in some African countries to do what? Most of the times, those brainwashed Africans will come here and be pointing fingers at this, at that. We have to be very careful. We have to sit down and analyze the democratic system we are practicing, the political systems we are practicing, because things are not that black and white. Things are not black and white as you see it. Things are a little muddy. Your leader that you are pointing fingers at him may not be the problem. They are causing a whole lot of harm to Africa. They have done that for centuries and they are still doing it. But I don't know why we don't have bold leaders that can reject this, and all this can happen through unity. If Africa should have united, it should have been very difficult for them to penetrate. Because all these things, I don't think some African leaders will accept military base in their country. So if this country, if this continent should have been one, we should have been strong going forward, and we can reject anyone that want to impose their military base on any country. Africans, we have to be wise, because it's not how things, it's not that black and white. I'm always saying it's not that black and white as we see things. Things are happening that are harming the progress of Africa. Why would you train a coup leader in Africa if you are not in support of coup, or if you are not threatening leaders of that coup leaders? So we have to be careful things we believe in Africa. We have to be careful those we call dictators. We have to be careful about how our political systems is being manipulated. That is why you see a leader will campaign to make sure he is given power. And exactly he's given power, you start seeing him doing different things. He'll be doing different thing altogether. He'll be doing opposite of what he was campaigning for. And you will wonder, then we'll be saying, if they get power, then they are characters. No, they have been threatened. I don't think any leader plan is to come to power and become corrupt, or any leader plan is to come to power and not to do anything. Every leader meant well for their country, but I think when they come to power, they realized they are not in control. We have people that are in control. And you see a whole lot of things happening. Is it coincidental that since independence and after they removed all these Pan-African leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, after they eliminate all these Pan-Africans, the only leaders we are getting now is puppets. People that they can control. Our leaders are not in control. And if you come to power and you try to do the right thing, I think they start messing you up. And they start pushing all these IMF loans, World Bank loans, and after you have accepted it, you become indebted to them, and they start controlling your country. That is why when they see China coming to invading Africa, then they start feeling threatened and they start coming in with all this, China is taking over and China is going to do this to you and you are going to be indebted, and they start creating all this false information and people start believing in it. We have to be careful. We have to be wise. We have to open our eyes because things are not black and white. A lot of things are happening in Africa and it's about time we speak. As we have gotten platform, if only they are not going to mute us, they are not going to silence us, we are going to talk. As for now, we don't have any power to do anything. So the only thing we can do is enlighten and liberate our people from the slave shackles, because a whole lot of Africans are not aware of what is happening. It's about time we spread the message for us to understand the limit and the deep our politics go. We have to be wise. Please join me on Telegram by going to my description box. Click on the Telegram link and join my Telegram group and let us talk about the well-being of Africa and Africans in diaspora. If today is also your first time coming to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. Thanks for watching.